This story was shared by someone who went on what should have been a normal weekend hiking trip. No history of anything strange. No reason to expect anything unusual. Just a quiet forest. But by the second night, he started hearing something that made no sense. Something that knew his name. Welcome to Tales Beyond the Flame. He had planned the trip weeks in advance, a simple overnight hike through a well-known trail system, nothing extreme, just far enough from civilization to feel isolated, but still considered safe by most people. He arrived mid-afternoon and followed the marked trail for a few hours before setting up camp just off the path. It was a small clearing surrounded by tall trees, with just enough space for a tent and a fire. Everything about the place felt normal. There were other hikers earlier in the day, footprints on the trail, occasional distant voices, but by sunset, it was completely quiet. That wasn't unusual. Most people didn't stay overnight in that area. He lit a fire, ate, and settled in. The first night passed without anything strange happening. No sounds, no movement, nothing. It was the second night when things changed. He had spent the day hiking further out, exploring a few side trails before returning to the same campsite just before dark. Again. Everything felt normal, until he was lying in his tent, trying to fall asleep. That's when he heard it, his name, faint, barely more than a whisper. He froze, listened. Nothing, just the sound of the forest. He told himself it was his imagination, the kind of thing your brain does when you're alone for too long in complete silence. So he ignored it, closed his eyes again. A few minutes passed, then he heard it again, clearer this time. His name, spoken softly, from somewhere outside the tent. He sat up immediately, completely awake now. Every part of him alert. Hello? No response. He unzipped the tent slowly and looked out. The fire had burned low, casting just enough light to see the immediate area. There was no one there, no movement, no sign of anyone nearby. He stepped out, scanning the trees. Is someone there? Still nothing. No footsteps. No branches moving. No indication that anyone had been there at all. But something felt wrong. Not just quiet. Not just empty. Like something had been there a second ago, and had stepped back just out of sight. After a minute, he went back inside, zipped the tent, tried to convince himself it was nothing, but he didn't sleep. Not properly. Every small sound kept him awake. Every shift of the fabric. Every movement of the air, and just as he was starting to drift off, he heard it again, his name, right outside the tent. Closer this time. Close enough that it felt like whoever said it was standing just a few feet away. He didn't move, didn't respond, just listened, waiting for something else. But nothing came. No footsteps, no voice, just silence. And eventually, morning. He told himself he was overthinking it, that it had to be someone else camping nearby. Maybe someone messing with him. That made more sense than anything else. But when he packed up his gear and checked the surrounding area, there were no other campsites, no footprints, no signs of anyone else being there, not even broken branches or disturbed ground. Nothing. He left that morning, faster than he originally planned, and for a while, he forgot about it. Until a week later, when he started hearing it again. The first time it happened, he was at home, late at night, sitting in silence, no TV, no music, just the quiet of his house. Then, his name, soft, clear, from somewhere behind him. He turned instantly, heart racing. Hello? Nothing. He checked every room, every corner, every locked door, There was no one there, but the feeling stayed. That same feeling from the forest, like something had been close, too close, and had moved away the moment he noticed it. Over the next few days, it kept happening, not constantly, just enough to make it impossible to ignore. Always at night, always when he was alone, sometimes from another room, sometimes from the hallway. Once, from directly behind him while he was brushing his teeth. He started keeping lights on, keeping doors open, anything to avoid the feeling of something being just out of sight. But it didn't matter. The voice didn't care about light. It didn't care about distance. It just kept calling his name. And the more it happened, the more he noticed something. It wasn't random. It was learning. Each time he reacted, it got closer the next time, not immediately, but gradually, like it was testing something, measuring his responses, figuring out how far it could go. So he stopped responding, completely. No matter how clear it sounded, no matter how close it felt, he ignored it. And for a while, that seemed to work. The voice didn't stop, but it stayed further away, less frequent, like it was waiting. Then one night, it changed. He was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, the room completely still, when he heard it again, his name, right next to him, not across the room, not at the door, right beside the bed, close enough that he could feel the air shift slightly, like something was there, standing over him. He didn't move, didn't turn his head, didn't even breathe differently, because he knew, if he looked, he might see something he couldn't forget. The voice came again, slower this time, almost patient, like it was giving him time to respond. He kept his eyes closed, pretended to be asleep, and after what felt like minutes, it stopped. Completely. From that moment on, he knew exactly what it wanted. Not fear, not attention, permission. Weeks passed, then months. The voice never fully disappeared, but it never got closer again. It stayed distant, controlled, like it was waiting for something, waiting for him to make a mistake. Then one night, he almost did. He was sitting alone again, late, tired, not fully paying attention, when he heard it, right behind him, clearer than it had ever been before, his name. And without thinking, he started to respond. A reflex, automatic, like his brain had finally given in. He turned slightly, opened his mouth, and stopped. Right before he spoke. Something about the moment felt wrong. Not just unsettling, final. Like if he said anything, there would be no taking it back. So he stayed silent, didn't finish the word, didn't turn around. And after a few seconds, the presence behind him disappeared. Just like that. The voice never came back after that night. Not once. But he still thinks about it. Because he's certain of one thing. If he had answered, if he had just said his name back, whatever had been calling to him would have finally known that it was allowed inside.